Hello YouTube and welcome again to another motovlog or whatever this is, coming at you live, recorded from Sterling, Virginia. And yeah, it's a perfectly normal day on a perfectly normal motorcycle. Perfectly normal stuff. We've got my normal white paint and my normal tank bag and cell phone and that number 5 there. You know, that's normal. That's totally normal. What do we have to say, right? Did we pass the, whatever that is? Is that a van? Is that a crossover SUV? I just don't know. But no, we don't pass. We slow down and get over to the right, because on the other end of this corner, we're going to be exiting off the Fairbanks County Parkway and going onto Braddock Road. So, yeah. And as you can see in the mirror, we got my buddy there on his motorcycle, I guess, riding behind me. And everything's cool and normal and totally what you would expect, don't you think? So we go ahead and exit here, have a little fun on a cloverleaf. I gotta admit, this is the second time I've ridden the GS since my accident. And I am a little apprehensive, to say the least. So what are we doing? On my totally normal dash, you can totally normally see that I'm going 40 miles an hour. Very safe and normal speed, of course. And everything is just the way it should be, don't you think? The universe is right again. I'm back on a bike, on my bike. And, yeah, I'm certainly not gaslighting you, I'll tell you that. Why would I do that? Why would I lie? Why would I act strange? Right? This clean white... Oh, wait.
I felt it going around the turn. It was like really strong. No.
And look, totally normal. Everything's totally normal. We're at the same light even. We're at the same traffic light now, turning left. Don't just ignore the man behind the curtain. Okay, I'll say it. Obviously, I switched bikes with my buddy. He's got an R1250 GS. This one's a little special because it has the I can't remember what they call it. I think they call it the sports suspension, but I might be wrong about that. Basically, it is the suspension from the GS ADV bike, which is obviously significantly heavier and taller, but they use that same suspension on the regular GS, which now makes the regular GS just as tall as the ADV, but is much lighter. So this is a pretty cool bike. It is also equipped with the wire wheels. It has some modifications, as you can see. Obviously the mirrors there, and the tank bag. I mean, I don't know if we'd call those modifications. Obviously it doesn't have any, irreversible stuff. It's got, aftermarket crash protection, aftermarket bags, and stuff like that. It has a Krapovich, or whatever you call it, exhaust, which it sounds pretty good, and it's a little louder than the stock exhaust. But after riding the bike with it, I do like it, and I enjoyed it, and it certainly enhanced the overall feel of the motorcycle. But yeah, for $1,000, it's just not for me. But hey, I totally understand. Let's just put it like this: I spent basically $1,000 getting the quick shifter installed on my bike, since it didn't come from the factory. I don't think I need to spend another $1,000 to upgrade my bike, especially when I'm sitting at just about 32,500 miles at this point. So the differences to this bike, I've got to ride it a little more than I rode my demo unit. The big difference to me that I noticed the most is the clutch. The clutch pull is a little longer enough to be significant, but not, hugely different. But it's longer, and the friction zone is wider. So I would say, yeah, you've got a significantly different clutch pull My bike's brakes probably need a little bit of refreshing with some new pads, new fluid, and they're getting a little spongy, but the brakes on this bike are just, oh man, they're just like really, really firm and instant, and they feel pretty good, at least to me. I know they are a different brand of caliper. I'm not sure what the other differences are, if it's got a different master cylinder or not. They do feel quite a bit different, though. My brake is more of a longer pull, and the brake on the 1250 is a much shorter pull to achieve the same level of pressure. The throttle in certain situations can be less, and I'm talking about on the 1250, the throttle can be less touchy and less twitchy, especially in first gear. If you just like roll off super fast on my bike in first gear, or say most bikes in first gear, they will react quite violently and, you know, kind of throw you forward and decelerate quickly. This bike seems to have a very tiny amount of rev holding in first gear when you release the throttle, so that's pretty cool. Nothing that's going to get in your way or make riding difficult, but it maybe I'm mistaken, but it does seem to adjust a little more smoothly than the 1200 GS, which I thought was pretty cool. Mechanically, the transmission feels quite a bit different. The distance that you have to move the shift lever is less, and the force that you need to use on the shift lever is less. In addition, the quick shifter works slightly better. I don't know if I'd say significantly better, but it does work slightly better. And when you combine that with the, you know, the additional, what am I trying to say? You come out the additional lightness and smoothness of the transmission, it makes a pretty big difference. My bike's got different modifications. One big modification, and the reason we did this swap, is because I have, I don't remember the brand, I think it's SW Motec, but I could be wrong. But I have pretty significant bar risers, which are, they're not, it's not like a straight bar riser, it's actually got a double bend in it, so it kind of like goes up, and then like has a 30-degree, it has like a 30-degree angle in it, and then it goes up a lot at that angle, and then has another 30-degree bend, or I guess 45. I don't know why I'm saying 30. It's 45. So it goes up, 45, up and out, 45, and then straight towards you. So it really pushes the bars up and towards you significantly, and that really shortens the reach. And this is a trade-off for sure when you're talking about something like this. The general comfort of the bike is obviously increased with the risers that I have. And I would also say that high-speed cornering is a little easier too, because you can have a much more bent, you can have your arms bent and just be a lot more gentle with it. But when you're talking about low-speed maneuvering and standing ergonomics, you are at a disadvantage, because the bars are again, they're closer to you, and it's a little harder to get leverage for low-speed stuff when you're direct steering. And it is also, when you're standing, you kind of have to take a slightly different stance, which I think is a little less advantageous to you. But that's certainly a trade-off. My bike is, you know, the Red GS 1200 is, or R1200 GS is set up, you know, mostly for on-road touring and just, you know, back roads and stuff, with the ability to do some light off-roading. Obviously, as we saw in my last video, or 2 videos ago, the GS, you know, heavy off-roading and, you know, real Jeep trails and stuff like that are a little less advantageous to that bike, and myself as well. Big difference is the seat. The seat is significantly wider on my bike than on the 1250, because I have a aftermarket Sargent seat, and that can make moving your butt around a little more difficult. But one thing I noticed with the 1250 is that I almost felt like claustrophobic on it. I really couldn't move forwards or backwards on the seat. I felt like I had a lot more room to maneuver forwards and backwards on the Sargent seat. So that was interesting to me. I'm trying to keep this video pretty short. I think that's really everything. I mean, the 1250 is kind of like the +1 model of the 1200. The engine does have a little bit more get up and go. It's a little smoother, but we're not talking a monumental difference here. It's really, really close. The Akrapovic exhaust or whatever makes a difference too, but the engine on its own is pretty darn close. It's just a little smoother and a tiny bit more powerful, especially in the mid-range. I'd say you'll notice most of the power when you're at less than full throttle and in the mid-range.
I don't like how far I have to let it go before it starts doing something.
I was definitely not used to the clutch. I had to let it out a lot more. Yeah, I had to hold. If I was gonna, I don't know. It's just an adjustment thing, not a big deal. So, anyways, guys, I've got an extra clip for you at the end. You can make what you want of that. It is what it is, just for fun. And as always, have a great night and think about your riding.